Some people say that tears are the sweat of the heart. How many people in today's world can truly shed tears? The number of people who are starved of love and mentally ill is increasing day by day. For example, Ms. S., a female college student who now sings loudly at karaoke, was mentally ill and unable to speak until her second year of high school. Both her parents are doctors, and she grew up in a busy life working at the hospital. So she believes she was raised by housekeepers. She often missed school, so she didn't have any friends. Until she was in kindergarten, her grandmother was at home. So she was a normal, cheerful girl. But after her grandmother passed away, she had a series of lonely days. If she had stayed with the same housekeeper, she would have felt better. But unfortunately, none of them lasted more than 3 months. As an only child, she says, she gradually closed herself off to the rapidly changing environment. Her parents were worried, so they called in psychiatrists, psychological counselors, and various private tutors in an attempt to cure her. But she never spoke a word to any of them. She was exhausted, and her parents were at their wits' end. Just when S was in the 3rd semester of her second year of high school, her cousin came to stay with them for a week to rest before taking the medical school entrance exam. Please stay with us until we find a new private tutor. He knew her cheerful childhood and was desperate to help her somehow, as he had been asked by her parents. And he also felt that if he could cure her illness, he would be confident in his ability to be a doctor. He was also betting his life on it. Since a great teacher couldn't do it, this is all I can do. He played the guitar next to the desk, where she was sitting, and sang a song he had written with all his might. At first, she looked at him curiously, but even though he was by no means good, she listened to his song, occasionally laughing shyly at his earnest efforts to attract her attention. But even when he tried to talk to her, she still didn't say anything. A few days later, the new tutor was due to arrive the next day. In the end, exhausted and despairing of not being able to do anything, he said, "I can't do this. Hey, bring me some alcohol." She brought her father's whiskey. He continued to sing, gulping down the whiskey. Then, completely drunk and crying, he said, "I don't want to be a doctor. I really want to be a singer." He started to cry and shout loudly. She stared at him for a while, and then said, "Why don't you become a singer?" He was surprised to hear her voice and said, "You can talk." "Yes." He was delighted and said, "Yes, hooray." I couldn't tell if she was crying or laughing. He started to drink the whiskey loudly again and started to sing. She also started to clap her hands and sing a little at a time. When their parents returned home some time later, they were initially shocked to see the two of them drunk and making a lot of noise. But they were more impressed by how happily Mr. S was singing. It was the first night. The family was surrounded by smiles in over a decade. After that, Mr. S seemed to become unbelievably cheerful. This gave him a strange boost of confidence, and the following spring, he was accepted into medical school. It was his true tears that saved him and her.